Getting ready to have Hot Rod Bob Beck with his Great American Auto Scene. And Bob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Lucky. It's great to be here as always on Tuesday nights. I'm Bob Beck, and you've got gas again. Great American Auto Scene here on Speed Scene Live.
It's happening again.
It is. It's back. Look out. Here we go again. I don't know what to do. All right. One of the things I do, as we've talked many times, is not only do I get involved in the full-size cars. I was at NMCA this weekend, but I was in the show and shine area. But I also race. I race smaller stuff. I race slot cars.
Dun, dun, dun.
And with us tonight, Keith Tanaka and Tim Niha. Did I say that right, Tim?
Yeah, that's close enough. Tim
Close
Niha.
enough, huh?
At this point in time, you're used to having people mispronounce the name, right?
It's been a long time of listening to lots of different things.
Yeah, I'm sure people have called you a lot of different things. Some of them even sounded like your name.
Didn't they used to have a soda named after you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Niha.
Yeah, there we go. All right, now, Tim is a racer. He races and has raced full-size cars. Got a great 55 Chevy to 62. But he also races these. These are called hard-body slot cars. Not to be confused with hard body.
Now, wait a minute,
else.
Bob. When I think of hard bodies,
Yes, you
I'm
do.
sorry, my mind goes to a different place.
Yeah, mine does too sometimes, most times, but this time I can actually grab a hold of these. These
There you
are
go.
hard body cars. Yes.
That is a difference.
It is a difference. And Keith Tanaka is on the line with us as well. Keith is the prime motivator behind the hard body slot car racing. He's rejuvenated it. A lot of us started out as kids racing slot cars, and Keith working down at Buena Park Raceway, the world's only, well, actually Southern California's only commercial track, still in operation. And you put on a whole race series. There's the group of guys that raced, and I'm stuck in the middle there. I'm the oddball one in the middle. We raced, 3 different races on Sunday.
Yeah, Bob, 3 different races.
Dang. And Keith, you started this category. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the cars and what goes on?
Well, the hard body cars, that term comes from, I guess it's a comparison to other types of slot cars which use the lightweight Lexan bodies, which are like 10 thousandths thick, whereas the Lexan, the hard body cars are actually from model car kits, the Revell Monogram AMT model cars.
Okay.
Well, those bodies, we consider them hard bodies compared to the Lexan bodies.
Wow, I am stunned. Wouldn't there be worries of damage? Those things aren't designed to do 100 miles an hour.
Well, they don't for very long. And you can see the Corvette right next to the Cobra right now. He is missing a chunk.
What's appropriate, though, is it's a Corvette with the, if it was full size, it would look proper because the fiberglass would have broken
off. Yeah, and the Cobra is one of the cars that ran this weekend and did pretty good, but Tim won the first race with his Corvette.
Way to go, Tim. Congratulations.
And
Yeah, thanks. Hadn't been racing in a while. Came back and got lucky. Had a nice, clean race.
Yeah, you did. You led from start to finish. You were running strong all day. You practiced just a little bit. You sat back and watched. You're a regular at Buena Park Raceway. Now, Tim, why don't you tell us a little bit about your car? Now, we're going to show some jalopies here right now, and then we're going to go into the other class in just a moment. But tell us a little bit about your car that you were racing this weekend, because you've got a whole bunch of cars.
Well, it's based on all the different classes that we actually run in hard body. Keith and others have developed the rules. But they're scratch-built brass chassis, piano wire and brass. They run a little sealed motor, a little Chinese motor. They're designed to really move the mirrors in real cars today. And that's what we use for motivation. And then, like Keith mentioned, these are the hard plastic kits. Mine was a 58 Corvette. And so it just fits the class rules. And it's a very simple thing to build. And then you do a little bit of tuning and tire tuning. Tires are critical. And get the car to handle real well, and then you drive it.
All right, and the typical cost, I know I was pricing it because after racing you, Keith lent me one of his cars this weekend to race, and now I'm going to build my own. And the motor was less than $12, ready to go. But what would it cost to build a car that would be relatively competitive in the category?
I think you could do it for under $100. Yeah, it'd be complete with all the parts and pieces you need. You can buy these kits, actually. There's lots of places. There's one of the local, Keith, what is that place that over there, that always has model kits on sale about every 2 or 3 months.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can buy these model kits at various hobby shops throughout Southern California, and also, there is a show that's held every 4 months over there in Buena Park, of all places, and they have various people come in and sell model kits at discount.
Yeah, you can do that. You can go to Kmart, Walmart, any place that's got kids' toys has model kits.
Even Michael's Art Supply sells
Yeah,
model kits.
I was over there the other day, and exactly, they've got them there. Sometimes some of the hard-to-find ones. eBay's a good place to do it. But as far as the chassis, you can go right to Buena Park Raceway, and you can get everything you need to build the chassis. I was looking at a kit, and everything's cut, everything's ready. All you do is solder it together.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.
the place where the track is, do they sell kits and parts and cars there?
Yeah, Buena Park Raceway, where we're racing right there. They've got the parts, they've got the kits, they've got a variety of things. And besides the road course that we were racing on, they've got 2 other road courses and a drag strip. Now, this year they also had their version of the NHRA March Meet in 1/24th scale.
What do you know?
So you could walk to the end of the finish line without even breaking sweat.
What's it take to drive one of those cars? I remember as a kid pulling the trigger. Sometimes
That's
you
it.
didn't stay on track.
That's the whole object. It's pulling the trigger at the right time, finessing it. And Keith and Tim are 2 of the top drivers. Keith started the category. And Keith, how long have you been racing? What we're showing on TV right now is the Datsun 510.
I really like that Datsun 510.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Datsun 510, BRE Datsun, built by Hector Gonzalez, one of our regular racers.
And you call him Gonzo.
One of the best chassis builders, too, that we have. Well, I started racing back in 1966.
Wow.
And, that was from 66 to 68. That was considered the golden years of slot car racing as far as competitive racing and commercial raceways. And so I raced for about 3 years, and then I didn't have any time because I was going to college, so I quit. And I thought the hobby had gone away because it kind of died out in the late 60s. And about 37 years later, I rediscovered slot car racing.
And a lot of guys have. I mean, it's inexpensive. It's kind of like a guy's night out to an extent, although there are women that race the cars as well. But it's a lot of time. It's relaxation. It's fun to race. You can roll one of these over and no one gets hurt. And you never deflate a tire. They use a sponge type material for the tires, correct?
Right. And one of I think the real fun concepts of the hardbody racing is the way you drive the cars is similar to how you would race a real car, as far as, you brake before the turn, but then through the turns, you cannot go full speed.
No.
You have to drift the car through the turns.
Now, I was using a controller I've had for umpteen million years, but it is nowhere near what's necessary today. Today, a controller will cost you about $100, but it's got fine-tuning for the brakes and the response time on the trigger, correct?
Correct. In fact, the controller I use is $275. It's a little more advanced, but they have controllers up to $1,000 for some of the professional racers. So
Yeah, I've seen
Professional races?
Oh yeah.
Well, professional. What I mean by that is they're not necessarily paid to race, but they are sponsored by some of the manufacturers.
Wow.
I'm
do they
talking about a
tour
different
from-
type of racing, which is called wing car racing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the very fastest slot cars that are raced. It's a totally different type of racing.
Totally different. We were watching them on the other track, and lap times were 3 seconds.
Not really.
Well, the guy was running, 3.6?
Well, the wing cars
The
on
wing
that
car.
track, it's a 155-foot track, a very standardized layout called a king track.
Yeah.
Specially made for wing cars, because the banks, all the turns are banked. Anyway, the wing cars typically will go around that track in about 1.8 seconds per lap.
The guy was going real slow then. I mean,
And the qualifying, by the way, Buena Park Raceway holds the world's record for qualifying time. One lap time is a little over 1.4 seconds.
Right.
Now, I got to ask a question here,
Yeah.
okay? I hate to interrupt Bob.
Go right
He's on a
ahead.
roll here. But
Yeah.
let me ask you. I'm looking at these cars, and I'm going, man, that looks so cool. That looks so cool.
Yeah.
What about aerodynamics? Is a Corvette more? Are they better aerodynamic cars faster than, say, I was looking at you guys had like a 50 Ford body?
Right. Yeah, we race all different types of cars from jalopies, early 30 cars, all the way up to present day NASCARs. And the only aerodynamics is really not a factor on these cars because they're so heavy. But what is important is the center of gravity. On the older, taller cars, you've got a high center of gravity. So they don't handle as well as, say, a Corvette, which has a lower center of gravity.
Huh. So, and then in the case of Tim's car, he kind of bucks both systems. He's got a Corvette, but it's an early Corvette, so it's taller than the later Corvettes, but it's a roadster.
Right. The roadsters have an advantage over the hardtops.
And that would be because of just the extra grams. I think we measured Tim's car, and the body was, about 10 grams or 20 grams, Tim?
No.
It's up around 25, 30 grams. It can be quite heavy.
Most of these cars weigh from about 150 grams up over 200 grams.
Well, now we were weighing your car, Tim, and yours was what, 179?
185.
185 grams. Okay, I knew the numbers were someplace in there. And now we're talking about a brass chassis with piano wire, and you said they're heavy. They are heavy in comparison to the lightweight wing cars and the plastic slot cars that I'm used to racing right now. Because
the light Lexan bodies only weigh a few grams. They're only 10,000.
They're very lightweight.
They're very lightweight.
Okay.
So
they race what's called retro cars, which use Lexan bodies, and those cars, they'll weigh anywhere from 80 grams up to about 120 grams.
Okay. Now your race series, though, which I really like because you can recognize what the cars are. You've got a race series that you're doing at Buena Park Raceway.
Yes.
And we did the first of the races, a qualifying race, this last weekend. To get our handicap in the racing. You've got how many more races?
We have a driver handicap that's established after you have a couple of races, and we do have a race, a NASCAR race, in which we have two podiums: a regular podium with no handicap, and a podium which includes a racer handicap.
Okay. Now we did the one race this weekend. The next race is Father's Day Sunday.
Father's Day was June 15th, and then the week after that, June 22nd. Is our first ever NASCAR enduro, a 4-hour enduro with NASCARs.
Wow! It's going to be a kick. We had 11 or 12 different drivers on this last Sunday, didn't we?
Right. And for the enduro, we have 8 teams assigned, and each team will have at least 3 drivers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And
let me ask you a technical question. We've got James here from TMS Titanium, a company that supplies titanium to a lot of different companies that make whatever they want to make out of it. And how about you guys you're mentioning the frame out of piano wire or lightweight weight being an issue. What about a titanium frame? It sounds like something small like this might actually be affordable to manufacture.
Well, I don't know that anybody's ever tried that, mainly because the cost of titanium compared to piano wire. but the reason we use piano wire and brass is because that's what was used in the 60s. And our scratch building is based on how we scratch built in the 60s. So it's kind of vintage in that sense, Ours is kind of a retro type of racing, so that's why we're sticking with the piano wire and the brass.
It's more traditional cars. Now, the other thing, too, is guys, James, can you solder titanium?
You can weld titanium, but you can only weld it to itself. It's not uncommon to use titanium in RC cars. We get calls for it all the time. They make their axles out of titanium. They make some of their underbody panels out of titanium, bumpers. RC helicopters, the really nice ones, will have titanium landing gear on them. Everything they can do to...
But that's bolt-on.
Yeah, everything they can do to get rid of some weight. There wouldn't be a problem making a chassis out of titanium. I don't know, maybe these cars need the weight.
Yes.
I don't know. These cars need the weight down low, so...
That's what holds them on the track.
That's part of why we use this type of construction, is that puts the weight right as low as you can possibly get it. So that's why brass and wire works very well for it.
Bruce, go back to that last shot.
Hang tight.
And this is Gonzo's 510. It's got kind of a backbone-style chassis. And one of the things the piano wire allows... Go back to the chassis, though. There. One of the things the piano wire does, and depending on how you build the chassis, that center section floats, doesn't it, a little bit, Keith?
Well, the way Gonzo designed that chassis, it's what we call a torsion-type chassis. The center part of the chassis is very narrow. And what it allows the chassis to flex more. The front tires and rear tires, that whole chassis flexes more. And you've got a lot of weight on both sides of the chassis. The large brass pieces you see on each side of the main rails, that gives you the nice heavy weight on the outside of the chassis, which makes it handle better.
And the ground clearance when you build these is 50 thousandths at the rear.
The rear of the chassis under the rear tires is 50 thousandths, and under the front tires it's 15 thousandths.
God, it must really be a job to make sure that when you build a track for these cars, that the track is perfectly flat. I mean, it seems like that it must not be an easy thing to do.
They do spend quite a bit of time, especially when they first install the tracks, to make sure everything is as level as you can get it. All of the joints, when they join the various pieces of the track together, they make sure all the joints are perfectly smooth. So the tracks we race on at Buena Park Raceway are excellent tracks.
All right, so we'd like to get everybody down to Buena Park Raceway. They are open every day. They have drag racing on Wednesdays.
Where are they located at?
They're open Wednesday through Sunday.
Wednesday through Sunday, okay.
Yes.
And where are they located at? What streets?
They're
Valley View and
61 Lincoln Avenue, which is about a block or so east of Valley View.
So it's exit the 91 at Valley View, probably.
Correct. Head south, go to Lincoln, make a left,
on
and
Lincoln, go
just
east
right there.
About a block, 2 blocks, and on the north side of the street, you'll see Buena Park Raceway.
But we'd love to have people come out, get involved in this, bring back your memories of when you were a kid, and start racing hard bodies.
Oh, yes, it's a lot of fun. We've got a lot of expert guys that can help you learn how to build. If you want to learn how to build, if you're not a builder, we have cars that you can purchase and race with. So it's a lot of fun. Come on, have fun with us.
And if you'd like more information, Keith's on Facebook. He's got a website as well. And what are your websites, Keith?
The website that I encourage you it's called Hardbody Racing. That's just one word. If you do a Google search on Hardbody Racing, you'll see our website listed at the very top, along with some other websites that we have related to hardbody racing.
And you got all the rules and everything else about it, the race
everything
dates.
Everything is there, how-to articles on how to build cars step by step on how to build these cars. So there's a lot of information there that can help you learn how we do it.
All right. Thank you, Keith and Tim, for calling in. And let's get down to Buena Park. Guys, drag race, road race, have fun. It's a great place to go. Keep the sport alive.